What's going on, guys? John Elder here from Codemy.com, and in this video, we're going to look at version control with Git and GitHub for our dental website with Python and Django. Alright guys, like I said, in this video, we're going to look at version control with Git and GitHub. But before we get started, if you like this video, want to see more like it, be sure to smash the like button below, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, which really helps the channel, and check out Codemy.com where I have over 40 courses with hundreds of videos that teach you to code. Use coupon code YouTube1 to get $30 off membership. That's all my courses, videos, and books for a one-time fee of just $49, which is insanely cheap. Okay, like I said, we're going to do version control in this video. We're pretty much done with this, right? We've set up all these separate pages, right? Hopefully you've customized them yourself. We've got the contact page. We can send a contact form. We've got the home page. Down here in the last video, we did this book an appointment form. It goes to another page once it's filled out. Everything seems to be working. So now the only thing to do is really just tweak this a little more for your specific dentist and then push it online for web hosting. So the first step of getting your site online for web hosting, up until now, we've just been dealing with this local host on our local computer. To get it online, first we have to set up version control. And the reason that is because we push our version controlled code up to what we're going to use for web hosting, which is Heroku. So in this video, we're going to go over version control. We're going to set all that up. In the next video, I'll show you how to push it up to Heroku. There's some changes we need to make to the app first in settings, and we need to add some little modules and things in order for that to work correctly. So we'll look at that in the next video. So version control, what is it? Well, you may have heard of Git before, Git version control. And version control does what it seems like it would do. It saves versions of your code as you go along. And this is just super important. It's usually something I talk about at the beginning of a course, but this time I did it at the end. And it's just super important for saving your code because I've been doing this for 20, 30, over 30 years, and I still make just catastrophic mistakes sometimes. I do stuff that just blows up everything. And I mess up so bad, I can't even figure out what I did to mess up. And when that happens, and it still does happen to this day, it's so easy just to roll my code back to a previous version that did work, right? Before I'd made all the crazy changes that screwed everything up. And that's one of the great things about version control. You can do that. It keeps little snapshots of your code over time that you can easily roll back to when things get crazy. It's also good for teams. So if you're on a team and you've got several people working on the same code base at the same time, they can check out the code themselves, make changes, and then push that code back into the master branch, and Git will take all those changes and kind of merge them together into the working code. It also keeps track of who did what thing when somebody does that. So you can see over there, Bob did this on Tuesday, Mary did this on Wednesday, and you can see what they each did. And, if one of them screwed something up, it's easy to see, oh, Bob did this weird thing. We can roll back whatever he did and it works again. So it's just super important for teams. It's super important for individuals. And the main reason that I use it, I screw up sometimes, sure, and need to roll back my code. But the main reason is because I have literally had computers blow up on me, start smoking, and the motherboard just go, poof. I've had that happen more times than more than once, let's just say. I've had times where weird electrical surges happened and it zapped my hard drive and I lost all my data. I've had computers that have been stolen before, and your code is just gone. But if you have Git and GitHub and you've pushed your code up to GitHub, it's saved up in the cloud and you could just download it on the new computer and you're fine. So that's probably the biggest thing. If your girlfriend throws your computer out the window, your code isn't lost, right? So it's just best practices. Everybody uses version control, and you should be doing it from the beginning. I should have probably told you at the beginning to do it, but it's kind of a boring subject, so I left it towards the end this time. And the things we've been doing haven't been that complicated anyway to where we're going to screw it up so badly we need to roll back to a previous version of our code, right? So anyway, the nice thing is we have the Git Bash terminal, which means Git is already installed there. So we don't have to install it, but we do have to sort of set some settings and initialize it, turn it on, and tell it to start doing its thing, right? And another thing I'll mention about Git, it doesn't save your code automatically. You have to still save it. You have to tell it, hey, save this code now. So when you're about to do some code, save your code. Right when you finish doing some code, save your code. So then you can roll back to different versions before you did something or after you did something, and you always have those different versions. So we'll look into all of this in this video. And right now we just need to set this up. So there are some commands we need to issue, 4 or 5, maybe 6 commands in our terminal to get this set up. And I never memorized these. I've been punching these same commands in for 15 years at least, maybe 20 years. And I don't remember what they do. I don't remember them in my memory, but I have them on this page. So go to codemy.com/git. It's GIT. And if you want to copy these and put them somewhere so you have them, because I just don't memorize this. I don't know why. I just never have. It's just not important. It's just these are the things we do to turn on Git the very first time. So to initialize Git the first time, we have to enter these. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 commands, and it's pretty simple. So let's just copy and paste these. And I'm going to copy up to the quotation mark. So Control C and head over to our terminal. And I've got the server running. So let's break out of there. Control C at the same time. And let's just clear the screen. And let's paste this in. And so it's git config -- global and then user.name and then your name. Because remember, Git keeps track of who makes what changes to the code. So it needs your name, right? And let's go back over here. Grab the next one. The next one is your email address. And in a minute, we're going to set up GitHub. So I kind of suggest, you don't have to, but use the same email address here that you plan on using for GitHub. Just going to make things easier. I don't think you have to, but enter your email address. So it's git config -- global user.email and then quotation marks your email. Again, it's not going to spam you or anything. It uses that to keep track of who you are and when it, keeps track of what changes you made and when. All right, so that's 2 down. Let's see, pull this back up. And the rest of these we could just flat out copy and paste. There we go. Copy, Control C, and paste. And this one's git config -- global push.default matching. And again, I don't remember what any of these things do. I just remember we always have to do them the first time we set up Git. So the next one, copy this and paste git config -- global alias.co checkout. And then the last one is just git init. I remember that one. And as you might expect, this initializes Git, turns it on. And as soon as we hit this, boom, it says it's initialized an empty Git repository in this directory, .git. Now, if you type ls, you won't see that directory because a dot directory is hidden, but it's there. You can still cd into it if you wanted to, but you don't. And the big thing to notice here is it now says master on our command prompt. And before, up here, it never did, right? It always said virtual for our virtual environment, but now it says master. And that means Git has been turned on. It's been initialized. And that master stands for the master branch of our new Git repository that we just created. So Git uses things called repositories. They're like buckets. They hold your code. And we've now created a Git repository, a Git bucket. And we can now save our code there. So, all right, let's go ahead and clear the screen. Now, we need to save our code into our new repository, right? And to do that, we type in git add period. And the period stands for everything. It's saying add everything from our current directory into our Git repository. So, okay, you can see it's adding all the files. Clear the screen. And then we type in git commit -am and then type a little message here. And I'm just going to say initial commit. This is our first commit. And you can use single quotation marks or double, doesn't matter. And what we're doing here is we're committing the code. So we added it just now, but now we're saving it, right? So we're committing it. So the reason why we put a little message here, we'll see in just a minute when we look at GitHub, but the little message we type helps keep track of our code changes over time at a glance. It's just a visually easy way to do it. So you want to type as your message what you're doing, what you've saved. So if later on we tweak the homepage, as my commit message, I would write tweaked homepage or something like that. Be descriptive, explain what you're doing. You don't want it to be like 5 lines long, try and use as few words as possible, but be descriptive at the same time. So, all right, git commit. So boom, 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 it saved all the files. And now we are done with our version control. So now from now on, anytime we want to save our code, we go through those 2 steps, git add period, git commit, type a little message, boom. So we are good to go there. So now we've got our code saved in a Git repository on our computer. And that's good, but it doesn't solve our problems of what happens if our computer explodes or melts down or whatever. So now we need to push our code up to GitHub. And if you're familiar with GitHub, check it out here real quick. GitHub.com. My account is github.com/flatplanet. See my profile here. No, I don't think the world is flat. I just find it hilarious that some people do. So that's my username. And if you want to follow me here, there should be a little green button to follow me on GitHub. You can do that if you want. I don't know what that does, but that's fun. I can't see the button because it's my account. But this is what your repository, or this is what your GitHub page is going to look like when you sign up. It's totally free, so go ahead and sign up now. And then you can see here, I have 53 repositories. Every time you create a new project, you create a new repository, and then you push that repository up to GitHub. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we need to create an SSH key on our computer and then add it to our GitHub account so that our terminal can connect to GitHub securely, right? So let's head back over to the terminal and do that. Now, to do that, we need to make a new directory. So mkdir, and we don't want to put it in this directory. So first, I'm gonna deactivate my virtual server, right? So now we want to mkdir, we want to make our new directory, and we want to put this in // And on the terminal, the tilde thing means the default directory. And I think my default directory is C users codemy. Whatever your Windows login name is, that's your directory, your default directory. So we want to put it in that default directory. And we want to create a directory to hold our SSH key. So let's call it .ssh. And remember, the dot makes this hidden. So this won't show up when you type in ls, but it's there. It's a security precaution. So let's move into that directory, cd /.ssh. And sure enough, there we are. And if I type in pwd, yeah, so we're in C users codemy.ssh. You're going to be in C users, whatever your Windows login is, and SSH. All right, so now if we ls, there's nothing in this directory. So now we just need to create an SSH key. And Git Bash, the terminal, has a really nice little key generator built in that we can use. So we just go ssh-keygen.exe. And now it's generating a public and a private RSA key pair. And it's saying, where do we want to save this? We just want to save it in this directory, so I'll hit enter. Now it's asking for a password. I have never used a password for this because, well, I have, but I don't anymore because this is already a secure SSH key. Why do we need a password on top of it? If you create a password now, every time you push your code to GitHub, GitHub will ask you for that password. It's a huge hassle. And if you forget it, you're going to have to redo this whole process again. So I just leave this blank. If you do put a password in and start to type, it won't appear on the screen. That's a security precaution, but sure enough, it is being typed. Just go ahead and keep typing, but I don't use a password, so use one if you want, but I don't use one. So I'm just gonna hit enter. It's asking for the password again. I didn't put one, so I'll hit enter again, and boom, it's now created my SSH key. So if we clear the screen and type in ls, now we see these two files, id_rsa and id_rsa.pub, and it's the .pub one that we want. That's the public key. This one is the private key. It stays on our computer. We don't want to publish it anywhere, but the public key we want to upload to GitHub. So to do that, we type in the catalog command, cat, and then just that, and then that file, and then .pub. So id_rsa.pub, and this just catalogs our SSH key out onto the screen. So here we can copy all of it, and it looks just like a bunch of gobbledygook, and it is. So click copy. And now head back over to GitHub and come up here to your little picture guy and click on this caret and go down to settings. And then we want, let's see, SSH and GPG keys. We want to add a new one. And now you can put a title, but you don't have to. And I'm just going to paste this whole thing in there. And if you haven't logged in a while, it'll ask you for your password. I think that's my password. And boom, now we're done. So our SSH key has been added to our GitHub account. So, all right. Now we need to get back into our project file. So let's go cd /c, and I think that was dentist site. Yeah. And there's our virtual environment. So let's turn our virtual environment back on. That was source virtual scripts activate, and boom, this thing appears. Now if we ls, we see we're still not in the right directory, so we need to cd into the dentist directory. And here's our master branch, so we know Git has been initialized. Here's our virtual thing, so we know our virtual environment has been turned on. We can type in ls just to make sure, And we see there's our manage.py, so we're definitely in the right spot. So now we need to create a repository on GitHub. And we do that over on GitHub. So head over to your repositories. You can come up here and click repositories, or I think there's a button on your profile page, and then just click new. And we need to name this. So let's name this Dentist Django. And you can see there's a little green check mark, so that has not been taken. We're good to go. Now this could be public or private. I leave all my code public because I want my students to see it. I suggest you do the same, because if you're trying to get a job, potential employers will come to your GitHub account and they'll look at your code. And that's a great way to get a job. They can see what code you've done. They can see what experience you have. They can see how well you do. And it's just, they're always going to do that. So I suggest you keep your code public. Nobody's going to steal your code. Nobody cares. If you've got some super secret startup that you're building, yeah, make it private. But otherwise, just keep it public. Who cares? So click Create Repository. And when we do, we get some instructions here. So what we want to do is push an existing repository from the command line. You know, earlier in this video, we created a repository on our command line in our terminal, and we want to push that to GitHub. And so it tells us what to do. We need to add these two commands to our terminal. So copy the first one, head over to our terminal and paste it in. Okay, one down. And then git push u origin master. Let's copy this one. Head back over to the terminal and paste it in. And now this is pushing up our code to GitHub. It's saying, are you sure you want to continue? Yes. And it's doing its thing. Just takes a couple of seconds and boom, done. So now if we go back to GitHub and hit reload on this page, we can see, boom, here is our repository. And if we go back to our profile and click on repositories, right here at the top, you see Dentist Django, and it thinks it's a CSS project. That's funny. But you can see this is all of our code here. So if we click, for instance, here, and I don't know, go to our templates, and here's our home page, you can see all of our homepage stuff, right? If we click on our views, you can see here's our views.py file. Everything is here. So very, very cool. Now, let's go through, and here you see this initial commit. That's that commit message that we typed when we made our initial commit, right? It's initial commit. And that's why this is cool. Over time, we can see changes and click on them accordingly. So let's do that real quick. Let's go back to our code. And let's check out maybe our home page, or let's change our about page. Let's change the title to about Dr. John Elder, Dentist to the Stars, right? All right, so we saved this. We've made a huge change to our code. We need to commit this, right? Normally I wouldn't commit my code after such a trivial thing, but just to show you how to do it one last time, let's pretend this was a huge change to our code. So remember, there's two steps: git add period. We want to add everything, and then we need to git commit -am, and then give this a message. Let's say tweaked about title, right? And you can see this time only one file was changed, not that whole long list like the last time we did it. That's because we only made one change to one file, so it's only reflecting that one change. So now, to push our code up to GitHub from now on, after we make those two changes there, we just type in git push. And boom, boom, it pushes it up, and it's done. So now we can head back over here and hit reload, and look, tweaked about title, because that file we changed was in the website directory. So let's check it out. And here again, it says tweaked about title. How come these things don't say that? Because we didn't change anything in this commit. We only changed something in this directory. So if we click on this, oops. So if we click on that and come back, and again, here you see tweaked about title. Why? Because we tweaked the about page. We didn't do anything in these other pages, so this commit message, it hasn't changed. So that's why it's important to put a descriptive commit message, because you will at a glance want to look at things like this. What did I do when I tweaked that code that once? Well, let's look it up. Oh, there it is. We can click on it, and then we can see about Dr. John Elder, Dentist to the Stars. It has been changed. If we want to look at the history of this file, we can click History, and we can see there's two things. So here's the initial commit, if we click on it, we can see this is the actual original stuff, and it just says right here about Dr. John, or about Dr. Elder. It doesn't say about Dr. John Elder, dentist to the stars or whatever. So that is GitHub, that is Git, that's version control. That's really all there is to it. So just every now and then you want to commit your code, you want to change, or you want to save your code, add it to your repository, push it up to GitHub. Generally, I do it at like the end of the day if I haven't been doing any particularly hard coding. If I've just been tinkering around with a website, I'll wait till the end of the day to push my code up to GitHub. If I'm doing something and I know it's going to be very intense and very hard, I'll save my code before I start, and then I'll save my code after I finish. So I have those two snapshots that I can roll back and forward to if I need to. So, you know, maybe if you haven't done it in a while and you're starting the day, you might commit your code, whatever. It doesn't have to be done all the time, but definitely once a day if you're actively coding, you know, at the end of the day at least. Is what I suggest. So very cool. That's Git version control. We are now one step closer to pushing our code up to web hosting to have this website live, and we'll do that in the next video. That'll be tomorrow, I guess. Yep. And that should be fun. So that's all for this video. If you liked it, be sure to smash the like button below, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, which really helps the channel and I really appreciate. And check out codemy.com where you can use coupon code YouTube1 to get $30 off membership. So you pay just $49 to access all my courses, hundreds of videos, and the PDFs of all my best-selling coding books. I got like a dozen coding books. You get them PDFs free of all those. Join over 80,000 students learning to code just like you. My name is John Elder from codemy.com, and we'll see you in the next video.